All right, I think we have Fadi has joined us right on time. We're gonna get things going here. But just so everyone knows, this webinar is being recorded. So we will make it available to folks at a later date and time. I don't exactly know when that's gonna be, but no worries, we'll make it known. So welcome everyone. My name is Ruben D. Rodriguez and I work for the IDEA Engineering Student Center. I am one of the program coordinators and I help coordinate the Summer Engineering Institute, which you are all here to hopefully learn a few things and maybe decide. Some of you might be on the fence about attending SEI, but yeah, absolutely. So if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A rather than raising your hand. So that way we can try to respond to them either live, maybe some of our panelists can respond to them. But just so you have an idea or overview of today, we're going to discuss a little bit about SEI. I have a short presentation and a video. And then right after that, we're going to jump into our panelists who have participated in the program. And we have some questions ready for them. And then we're also going to take live questions either in the Q&A or the chat. And so the Q&A is better. I think we're probably going to be watching the Q&A a little bit more. But yeah, definitely if you have questions, feel free to ask questions and use the Q&A feature. So once again, congratulations on being admitted to UC San Diego and the Jacobs School of Engineering. Yes, absolutely, snaps and claps. So who's hosting this webinar? Like I said, my name is Ruben D. Rodriguez. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a program coordinator. I'm also the IDEA Scholars Coordinator, although some things are changing. I think Jessica and I might be joining forces in a little bit, so we might be co-coordinators. I'm not entirely sure. The structures, we're always evolving, right, Jessica? I went to UCLA for my undergrad, so I am a product of the UC system. And then I went to Harvard for my master's. And Jessica, did you want to introduce yourself or do you want me to just go ahead? Oh, go for it, Jessica.
Yeah, sure. I'll introduce myself. Thanks, Ruben. So I'm Jessica Baldus. I'm our Academic Success Coordinator, and I facilitate our engineering learning communities, which hopefully all of you will join if you come here when you're first years. I also run our ACES Scholars Program, and I help with our Academic Achievement Program. My bachelor's is from the University of Wisconsin, and then I have my master's in engineering from the other UW. I've gone to a lot of UWs for schooling, and right now I'm working on my doctorate actually at the University of Illinois as well. So thanks, Ruben, and good to see all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. So too many W's, Jessica switched it up for an I, but that's okay. Hey, it is what it is. So thank you, Jessica. Jessica might be answering a few questions in the Q&A feature, but I will be your main host for today's webinar. So just a quick snapshot of the IDEA Engineering Student Center and our positionality within UCSD. So UCSD is the institution, that's the university. Within UCSD is division, that's the Jacobs School of Engineering, that's the school. Is the School of Engineering. And then within the School of Engineering, you might hear the phrase JSOE, that's the acronym for the School of Engineering. Within JSOE is our department, the IDEA Engineering Student Center. And for the IDEA Engineering Student Center, what do we do? Programs that we organize. Jessica mentioned a few. We help run the engineering learning communities, Summer Engineering Institute. We help support our engineering student organizations and several scholars programs. So the Summer Engineering Institute, I had a whole presentation ready, but I think what might be better is sharing this video. I think this video really captures a lot about SEI. So I'm going to play this video. And for our panelists, if you can let me know if you can hear the audio. Hopefully you can hear the audio. It should be good first time through, but we shall see.
Hello, my name is Jenny Miranda, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the Director of Operations for the IDEA Engineering Student Center. Our flagship summer program, the Summer Engineering Institute, is aimed at supporting the successful transition of incoming freshmen to their engineering studies at UC San Diego.
Hi, my name is Karcher. I'm a teaching professor in the School of Engineering in the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department. Summer Engineering Institute is a great space to make a friend, build community. I think that it complements our courses nicely.
There's a multitude of concrete benefits that students gain from participating in the Summer Engineering Institute. Number 1, they complete 6 credits of engineering coursework. Number 2, they gain familiarity and first-hand experience with using academic resources like tutoring, office hours. Number 3, they learn to physically navigate through the campus. And number 4, they begin forming peer networks. As a result, students who participate in the Summer Engineering Institute feel more prepared to start college in fall, and they have a network of peers that they can continue to connect with during their first year in college and beyond.
EC5 is a great class. Students dig into team projects. They learn, go from very different backgrounds to learning all these different things about ECE, from different perspectives, analog circuits, digital design, robots, control theory. All that you can think of gets wrapped up into these projects that you build on a team. I think a lot of students that enter EC5 don't know yet what they want to do, and ECE offers a lot for these students. So it's a good place to get a little bit of perspective and hopefully launch your academic and career goals. I really like at the end of the 5-week session when everything starts to build up and they're working on their final robots, when things actually start breaking, and of course it's a very stressful moment, but then as a group they actually come together, they get a lot of help, and they compete at the end, and it's a very wonderful, special experience. Students come from all different backgrounds, and they have a lot of support from the faculty, staff, tutors, Envision staff here. We're able to do so much across the School of Engineering, and then they all go out in different areas, different ambitions, different goals, and it's just a great spot to meet people and grow from there.
My advice for people who are interested in applying is just to do it. Getting exposure to how classes work, how professors are, how to work with my peers, meet people, ended up becoming more valuable because it was not just like a summer program where I go to workshops. I actually was getting class credit. I was actually learning, getting a head start in my degree.
And because we were all housed together back when SEI was in person, we were able to go and have like adventures over the weekend when classes finished, just be like, hey, you want to grab dinner kind of thing.
We went on hikes around San Diego. We hiked down to the beach.
When I'm around a lot of unfamiliar people and big groups of people especially, I can really like shut down and really like get really shy. The program did a very good job of being cognizant of the fact that some people shut down in big groups and having activities with smaller groups. And as a result of that, I was able to build some meaningful connections with the people within SEI.
And I remember during SEI, towards the very end, we had this banquet and one of the peer facilitators gave this speech, and he said, these friends that you make here in this program are the type of friends that you'd want at your wedding. And at that point, I was like, what is this person even talking about? But in hindsight right now, me in my 4th year, with the friends that I made from this program being my very closest friends who I would consider family, thinking, oh my God, he was right. Like, like if I get married, I would want them at my wedding, you know?
And those connections and friendships gave me a huge advantage when I first moved, during the fall quarter at UCSD.
Being able to start school in the fall, in September, knowing, at least, 10 people in all my classes basically, which was just amazing because, you have people you can study with, you have people who can help keep you responsible and keep you on task, and you can also do the same for them.
Whilst you're in SEI, really don't be afraid to put yourself out of your comfort zone and do things that you didn't necessarily do before, because again, this is like a completely different group of people. You're going to a whole nother school, a whole nother city.
Professionally, some of my favorite parts about SEI was some of the workshops that we had, such as ones that talked about research, internship experiences, and all the other different opportunities we have.
Getting an internship was something that I didn't know was a possibility until I had attended SEI. Reaching that goal that I had set for myself in getting that internship would not have been possible without the resources that the SEI exposed me to. SEI has allowed me to forge my own path for success.
Making me fall in love with UCSD from the start.
SEI is a lot of things, but I feel like the biggest thing at this point is SEI is family.
Hello, my name is Jenny Miranda, and my
Okay, we only want to watch the video one time, so we'll keep it going here. Hopefully this loads up again and don't have too much of an issue. Oh no, you're gonna see all the questions. Can't have that. But yeah, I think you all got an idea of kind of overall context of the Summer Engineering Institute. I'm gonna go through some of the specifics here in a little bit. With respect to costs, some of the logistical issues, start date, application, and whatnot. If my computer cooperates. Or possibly not, I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen? We shall see. Super duper. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the Jacobs School of Engineering was ranked top 10 in the country once again. However, our Wi-Fi was only ranked top 100 in the country. So that's rather unfortunate, but we shall see. Hopefully, Jessica, do you think you can share your screen?
Yeah, Ruben, you know what? I was just looking for the presentation, but I'm not sure what you have it, where you have it. If you tell me, I'll try to pull it up.
Check the chat.
Check the chat, okay. Great, give me 1 second. I will try to pull that up and share it on my end.
All right, everyone. While Jessica pulls it up, hopefully Jessica can share her screen while I present, because apparently it's too much. It's too overpowering for a 2016 MacBook Pro. They only went out 4 years in advance, but 6-7 years is gonna be too much. So right on, Jessica, coming in clutch. Thank you very much. And I think we're on the slide right after the video, so fantastic. So one more slide, please, Jessica. So the Summer Engineering Institute, just one more slide. Perfect. So just a quick overview again to recap what was mentioned within the video. Folks get a jump start on their academic career. So incoming students get a jump start on their academic career. You earn 6 credits towards your engineering degree, and that comes from 2 different courses. You receive support from instructors, teaching assistants, staff, peer facilitators, so that's hired and trained student staff. And then participants build an awareness of important campus programs and resources. And of course, students begin forming a peer network. So the courses for this upcoming year, what we have is Engineering 15. That's a 2-unit course. It's called Engineer Success. And then depending on your major, we have different courses that are available, which is MAE 8, Nano or Cinch 15, CSE 8A, ECE 5, or CSE 11. But again, it's dependent upon your major or your department that will dictate the course that is assigned to you all. So students take 2 courses. They will, if I was a student and I was majoring in ECE, I would take ECE 5 as well as Eng 15. Thanks, Jessica. Next slide, pretty please. Awesome. So in addition to taking courses, there's academic enrichment and social activities. So we offer academic workshops to help build study skills. We do research seminars and offer panels on research, introduction to living on campus and campus resources. We do a lot of planned social activities for the evenings and the weekends. And then we have, again, opportunities to form a peer network and make lasting relationships. And that comes from participating in all of our activities, the social activities, the academic ones. And you're just around a lot of the same people pretty much throughout the 4 or 5 weeks that you all spend together. This is a sample schedule from 2019. So this is just not all of the courses, but I think this was for someone who was majoring in mechanical engineering. So MAE 8 is one of the courses, and then you don't take all of those Eng 15. So you see green, purple, and gray. It's just one of them. It's just one course. So it might be the green course. So you might take Eng 15 from noon to 1:50 p.m. And then there would be a big break and you'd have community building activities or whatnot. It really depends on the major. It's dependent upon which Eng 15 course you take, and that's dependent upon, again, it's dependent upon the major. So the courses just vary throughout, but again, this is just a sample schedule. Thanks, Jess. Now, the cost for the Summer Engineering Institute this upcoming year, for single housing, so if you wanted to live in a single, it's $5,072. If you do a double room, so if you're in a room with another individual, another participant, it's $4,928. And this amount covers the cost of housing, dining, tuition, and fees and program fees. So that's everything all combined. And then ECE students, they get assessed a $100 lab fee. That's separate, and that applies to ECE students only. We recommend that you apply for financial aid, that you apply as soon as possible, so by May 9th, but then also for financial aid by May 9th, which there is financial aid. Jessica, if you hit the next slide, there is financial aid available. But just as a reminder, if you're applying for financial aid for the Summer Engineering Institute, if you know you want to do it and you want to apply, you must apply for the 2021-2022 FAFSA. So FAFSA ends at the end of summer. So some of you may have already completed FAFSA for the upcoming academic year. You might have completed it for the 2022-2023 academic year. That's a separate application. You must complete the 2021 to 2022 FAFSA. That's this current academic year. And again, you want to do it as soon as possible. If you know you're going to apply for SCI, go ahead and complete the application, complete the FAFSA, and complete all anything that you might need as soon as possible. So just some important dates. Again, the application is currently open. It opened up on the 1st of April. Students are able to apply to SCI once they accept their offer to UCSD. So you must accept your offer to UCSD in order to get a PID. With the PID, that's what allows you to apply for the Summer Engineering Institute. And the application, you can find the application for SEI on the Idea Center website. You can click through summer programs, Summer Engineering Institute, and then there's a link there for our application. But you need your PID first, which means you must accept the offer. Admissions are on a rolling basis. The deadline closes May 9th. Again, it should be 2021, 2022 FAFSA, that we should have updated that one bullet point. And then we start July 30th and it ends September 3rd. And again, for additional information, you can check out our website for any additional information. All right, thank you, Jess. And so for questions, it looks like we might have a couple questions in the Q&A. So for exemptions to some of the courses, you have to talk to your major advisor. So for CS, you're definitely going to want to do, you're definitely going to want to talk with advisors in the computer science department. So you're going to have to reach out directly to the computer science. And I think Fadi's writing an additional answer, so it's fantastic. Is it possible to do the online SEI program this summer? We're doing it in person, so there will not be an online component. Barring any issues, barring some new strain, or if anything else changes, that's a different subject. But as of right now, we're planning to do the in-person SEI. Is SEI covered by the Jacob Scholarship? I do not believe it is, but that question could be answered by my colleague Alejandra Arguelles, who's the advisor for the Jacob Scholars Program. I don't believe it covers it, but that's a really good question. Can international students take part in this program? Absolutely, international students can participate in this program. Is there any prerequisite for SEI? There are no prerequisites for SEI. And then are there any scholarships available for this program? Applying to the IDEA Scholars Program, if admitted to the IDEA Scholars Program, it ranges, the IDEA Scholars gives a scholarship range anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. I would probably guess somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000. So it gives a little bit of a discount for the program. And that's, again, that's the IDEA Scholars Program. There was a session on the IDEA Scholars Program that's tomorrow, where we will discuss kind of a little bit more in detail about the IDEA Scholars Program. I don't want to touch upon it too much right now, but yes, there are some scholarships for SEI. And then Pranav, you mentioned a question. It should be the 2021-2022 FAFSA, not the 2020-21. Sorry about that. That was a typo on my end. Awesome. Will FAFSA pay for it? Will help pay for it if we apply. You have to apply and then see what the financial aid package they give you. So it is possible, yes, but without knowing, without applying and seeing what the financial aid office says, it's hard to be able to tell. Everyone's it's individualized. The financial aid packages are highly individualized, so it's really hard to tell you what exactly it's going to be. Is there a limit as to how many people can apply or participate to SEI? Technically, no, but we do try to kind of admit at a certain amount. So like maybe roughly every 30 or so people, and that's for the courses, that's for our Eng 15 course. So usually it goes to like 100, then about 125, then 150 and so forth. So we try to kind of keep it right around 125 people when we do the event, when we do SEI in person. But usually we don't have to deny too many people. It's usually, we usually have like a pretty good amount of spots available. Is this program organized by one's college, Warren Ravel, in any way? It is not organized by any of the colleges. This is strictly within the School of Engineering. On the website, it says it's virtual. It's now on campus this year. That's correct. And I don't know where it says it's virtual. If you could put a link to that, that'd be awesome, so we can update that. But yeah, it should be in person. I think the current webpage for SEI should say it's in yes, I see the link that you put in there. That is from UCSD's. It should be on this link. Throw into the chat for everyone. So for the Jacob School's website, so our IDEA Center website has the most up-to-date information, but good catch. Thanks for that. We'll see if we can get someone to update that. But yes, it's going to be in person. For the rolling admissions, do we receive decision as soon as the application is done, being reviewed? We usually review in a time chunks, so about like 2 weeks, every 2 weeks or so. So you would not receive a response right away. I'm going to stop fielding questions here. If any of our panelists are responding to questions, please feel free to continue responding. But I kind of want to keep things going because I want to make sure that our panelists have time to answer some of your questions. And then if there are still questions afterwards, I will stay behind. Our panelists will be free to go. They might stick around, not sure, but I'm going to try to stick around to answer more questions. So let me go ahead and Jessica, if you can hit the next slide, that would be fantastic. Awesome. So we have with us 3 students who have participated in the Summer Engineering Institute. We have Amanda Breton, Fadi Shaba, and Sky Edwards. But I want to give a moment to allow them to introduce themselves. So why don't we go ahead and kick things off. Amanda, do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so my name is Amanda Bertone. My pronouns are she, her, hers. When I was at UCSD, my major was bioengineering biosystems, and I was in Warren College. Right now, my major is electrical and computer engineering. I'm doing my master's of science at Duke University, and I call home East County, San Diego.
Hello, my name is Fadi Shaba. I'm a third-year mechanical engineer. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a mechanical engineer, like I said, and I call San Diego, California home as well.
Everyone, I use the she and they series. My name is Sky. At UCSD, I was also a bioengineering biosystems major. I was from Revelle College. I actually joined in 2016, but I took 5 years to graduate by choice. So that's something why, that's why I graduated in 2021. But I'm currently doing my PhD in biomedical engineering at Tufts University. If you have questions on that, you can talk about it later. And I call the Central Valley of California my home, very specifically Selma, California.
Awesome. Jessica, you're welcome to stop sharing. I think we're going to go ahead and transition into the conversation. Thank you so much. Fun fact, Selma, California, raising capital of the world. Also fun fact, I drove through Selma about a month ago on my way to Fresno State to watch Fresno State, San Diego State basketball. Back when San Diego State still had a chance at the championship, but not so much anymore. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get some of these questions going. So we have several questions in the Q&A. Please feel free to throw some questions for our panelists. Inside of the Q&A, you can directly send a message like for Sky and then type in a question if you want. Or you can say for all panelists and type in a question. That's perfectly permissible. But the first question I want to throw out to our panelists is, why did you apply to SCI? And let's just go ahead. Let's start with Fadi. We'll go to Sky and then Amanda. So why did you apply to SCI?
I guess for me, I didn't really know what engineering fully was. I took my math and physics classes, but other than in high school, but other than that, I really didn't know what it was. And then while just looking online, I saw SCI and I saw a class called Eng. I don't think it's offered anymore, but it gave us a big intro into what it was. Another reason is I've always taken classes over the summer, so I was might as well do it again. And then another perk of it is I was able to take a class over the summer. So during the regular year, I was able to take one less class, which helped me adjust to college a lot easier.
So my cohort was the first cohort to have a 5-week program. I heard about it because I went to the engineering overnight program at UCSD, and that's when I first learned about it. And being from the center of California, I wasn't really sure if moving away was a great choice, even though I was going to UCSD already. And so I'm an only child, an only grandchild, so you can imagine my family hovers a bit. So when I saw a chance to get to go to UCSD before school started and kind of live on my own for about 5 weeks, I thought it was a great opportunity. And also, I knew nothing as well, like same as Fadi, about engineering. And so I was like, this is a good time to take these classes. 5 weeks is a short period of time, but I get to do it with others who also are starting this at the same time. And, maybe we can all try to struggle and figure this out together. And I thought that was probably one of the best choices to do because I didn't know anything else. I was also one of the only people going to UCSD for my high school, which was pretty scary because in high school you kind of cling to your friends a lot as to getting through stuff, or you see them all the time every single day. And so I was hoping this would be a good time to introduce myself to new people, maybe from California, maybe not, and specifically within the engineering community. And so I convinced my mom to let me go and use my summer right before heading up for college for however long now, 6 years, to move away from home. And so yeah, that was my main reason why, to get new experiences right before school started.
Yeah, so for me, I think I got a call actually from like someone, a student worker or something at the Idea Center, and they told me about it, and then I got an email. And I like also didn't really know what engineering was. Like at my high school, people were like, "Oh, you're good at like math and science, like you should do engineering, like you would be good for that." And I was like, "Okay, I know it involves math and science, but I don't really know what I would be doing." So I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, "You should apply. Like, what else are you doing?" um, but since I'm from San Diego and I'm really close to my family, I also saw the 5 weeks as kind of like a trial run to be like first time away from my family that long. And I thought it was a really good like weaning experience from my family to be like 5 weeks, here you go, you're still close enough. And like the pace was fast, but not as like there's not as many courses as like during the school year. So like for me, sorry about that. I think they just scored if you hear a bunch of cheering. Um, and so like I saw the 2 courses as opposed to 3 or 4 as like a good like trial run for this is what college is going to be like.
Awesome. Thank you so much all for answering that. So the next question I want to go ahead and throw out there is, do you still talk to anyone else who participated in SCI with you? So would anyone like to take that question? Do you still talk to anyone from SCI?
I can go ahead. So, like I said, I was in the first cohort. That means that I was in a different cohort than Amanda and Fadi. And so I still keep in touch every now and then with my good friends, Justin, Gabe, and Albert, because we're all 3 of us are doing a PhD. One's doing a master's and one's working. And it's not like necessarily something that we talk about all the time, but it's always a nice little reminder of like, hey, we moved to a new state. Remember when we were staying up late at night? Like, I don't know, like just talking in our living rooms and talking about what we do in like the next 4 or 5 years, which was really great. But someone that I do talk to quite often, and I was actually her facilitator, and then I took a 5th year, so I ended up being in her class, is actually Amanda. Right here on the screen. I actually went to Thanksgiving with her this past year instead of going all the way home. I flew to Duke to go hang out, eat some good food, and yeah, I mean, there's also the Discord where I pop in every now and then to see some idea scholars that I got to meet. I think, it's weird because you talk to a lot of people by the time you graduate, and you kind of think you don't really think about like how you met them. You just know that you did and that they're important to you because you see them on Instagram, or you just say hey, happy birthday, or hey, congrats. And it's really nice. Like, yeah, I can say for sure, like Amanda, I constantly talk to her. We still ask her to Zoom when I'm doing work on my stuff independently from her, just to have a buddy to do homework with again.
And at least for me, I'm still an undergrad, so I still see all these people every day. Like I'm taking a lab right now, and my lab partner's from SEI, very good friends with him. And I actually live with someone who I met in SEI. We became friends throughout the regular year, and now we live off campus with each other. So like, I definitely think you will meet a lot of like new people, and you might make your best friends. That's like, I made one of my best friends through SEI, and there's a chance you do too.
Will say as well, if you do student orgs, a lot of the people in student orgs might be from SEI as well, which is pretty nice because then you can do some nice cross collaborations because you're like, I already know you. Do you want to work with my org and me work with you? But yeah, I want to put that up there.
Yeah, fantastic. So it sounds like a lot of folks kind of get a head start through SEI to get the college experience, and then have had the opportunity to make some lasting friendships still as an undergrad and then after graduating. So it warms my heart. I love seeing the fact that participants continue to hang out, see each other, have dinner, go out, spend holidays together. That's fantastic. So the next question I want to ask is, how did your participation in SEI impact your experience at UCSD? However, I'm going to pick on someone. I wonder if Amanda, would you be willing to answer this question? And then maybe I'm going to toss it over to Sky.
Yeah, so for me, like going into SEI, like from high school, I would consider myself like back then a super introverted person. kind of like quiet, social battery, super low. But kind of through SEI, like it felt like very much like putting your foot in the water to test the waters. And then because of how close knit you get during SEI, you're literally like living with these people and like doing homework with them. And I still talk to one of my roommates from SEI. I literally talked to her like the other day. Like you feel like a little bit better about talking to new people. And so when the school year started, I wasn't as afraid to just like go up to people and be like, hello, like we're in this class. And it was also really comforting to see familiar faces in those like 300 plus lecture halls. And being like, okay, I see like at least 5 people that I talked to at least once during SEI. We did like the egg drop competition together or like the tower building. And I remember this. So like we have at least like a familiar face, and it's a little more comforting and not as like daunting to be like, oh my God, college, like new academics, new place you're living at all at the same time. And so I think it helped prepare me a lot better for like the social aspect of college as well as like the academics, because it gave me like an extra class going in. So I felt less pressure to be like on track for 4 years. I was like, okay, I already have 1 in the bag. I can like relax a little bit more, but not too much. And like actually learn without being super, super stressed.
Yeah, I think one of the first impacts that SEI had on me for UCSD was learning MATLAB during the summer. I think was the best thing for me to do because I had never touched, like MATLAB's coding. It's not super much, not really coding, but it's coding that you're gonna do a lot, and I currently do in my studies right now. And so getting to know that pretty early on, I think was a good thing for me because it kind of mentally prepared me for like learning how to struggle a little bit, which I didn't really know how to do in high school. And I think that was a good firsthand experience with classes of like, oh, this is how I have to sit down and ask for help. I have to go to my professor to be like, hey, I'm kind of confused. Like, I know you said this, but I don't really know what that means. And I really never did that in high school, which I think was a pretty humbling and good experience for me to learn that early on before I started my undergrad, because I think it's very easy for those that who are like me, like are very confident in their intelligence to then like have to like learn how to ask when they're confused. And so it's, I mean, I didn't pick it up great, but I eventually learned it again, thinking back to, when's the first time I really struggled. Another thing was I got to meet a lot of people that weren't from the local areas. So in my freshman year, a lot of my housemates lived in San Diego or LA. And so every weekend they went home, but Fresno is far enough that it's kind of really inconvenient to try to go home for just 2 days. And so I was in my suite by myself when like all the girls were gone. And so I would just like hit up a group chat, be like, hey, did anyone stay like back for the weekend? And I had my good friend who's from Washington, who he obviously wasn't going home every weekend. And so I would always like, hey, do you want to go do this? Or can I go to your dorm and hang out? Which I think was very comforting because I was trying to grow independently, but also I didn't want to be like alone on the weekends when you're kind of like, oh, midterms are stressful, or oh, I just, want to hang out with someone, especially because I'm pretty introverted or extroverted. Sorry, excuse me, wrong one. And so that was super helpful. Just, like how Amanda said, like kind of having someone always, like a lot of people to lean on, at least like 30 other people that you can just be like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you want to go grab lunch from like, I don't know, PC? Like, let's like spend real money instead of like dining dollars. Like, ooh, we're a fancy freshman. And so, yeah, it really helped me in my first year, like not feel so lonely since everyone seemed to go home pretty often.
Yeah, fantastic. A really quick question for Fadi, because you were also from San Diego. Did you go home on the weekends or did you stick around? Did you stick around campus?
I actually stuck around campus because I was having a great time with like all the new people I like met, and like you just like you're going off to college, so you're like, might as well stay here. I want to meet new people. And then on the weekends we had like time to like go explore San Diego, and like because I was from San Diego, I like kind of like showing like my new friends around. So I did stay for most weekends. I think I might have went back one weekend, but I enjoyed staying on campus for the most part.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. I like to think I knew what all students were doing at all times, but truth be told, no, I didn't know what everybody was doing. I'm going to take a few questions from the Q&A. I'm just going to answer a few, and I'm going to slowly transition to what it's like being a student. So in terms of like studying, is it the same? Is it different from being in high school? So that's going to be the question that I'm going to throw out to our panelists in a little bit, but I kind of want to clear up some of the questions from the Q&A. Also, if you have questions for our panelists, go ahead and use the Q&A feature, throw your question out there and we can try to answer your question. But there is a couple of questions in here. Let me see here. What advantages does the SEI program have over the Summer Bridge program? The Summer Bridge program is its own program, and it is facilitated and run by OASIS, which is another department on campus. And for me personally, I would say that it's focused on engineering. So Summer Bridge is for all different types of disciplines and majors. It's very open, but that doesn't exactly allow them to tailor the program for your major or tailor your experience for the engineering major. Having said that though, Summer Bridge program is an excellent program. So if you're choosing between the two programs, you have that's okay. That's a good thing to have. You have a good problem because they're both solid programs. But yes, the SEI, the Summer Engineering Institute, is specifically designed for students majoring in the Jacobs School of Engineering. Is there a certain selection process for students to earn a spot at SEI? There is an application, and so students must fill out and complete the application. If you're interested in the Idea Scholars program, the Idea Scholars application is at the end of the SEI program. There is a question at the very end of the SEI application that asks, would you like to apply for the Idea Scholars program? You must click yes, and then a new application will pop up, and then you apply for the Idea Scholars program. So I think it's a couple of short essay responses, and then traditional data, student, major, where you grew up, so where you call home, etc. And then let's see here. Where were folks housed? It rotates every single summer. So that depends on what UCSD allows us and where they allow us to live. The past 2 summers, we didn't have it in person, so that doesn't apply. I think this year it's listed on our website where we're going to be housed for SEI. So I can try to look it up, and if I can find it in time, I can throw it into the response and see if I can get you the specific building we're going to be housed. I know it has been announced. I just can't remember specifically the where we're going to be housed. Awesome. All right, I'm going to ask one question here for our panelists, and then afterwards, I'm going to follow up that question with what kind of opportunities did you get exposed to through SEI that you wouldn't otherwise had if you didn't participate? So that's going to be the second question. But for the first question, is studying the same in college as it is in high school? Is it? I don't know. Is it? Amanda, can you give us a response?
Yeah, so personally, studying in college is nothing like studying in high school. It's, at least for me, a completely different ballgame. In high school, you might relate to this, like people in the audience, that like you could kind of learn through osmosis and just like writing it down, like passively learning. But I discovered in college, especially going into like electrical engineering courses, and courses that involved like more processes of things happening, is that I really needed to like buckle down and spend more time on them, first of all, and kind of be more interactive in how I studied, and how I like went about learning the topics. I definitely recommend, like, if you do end up participating in SEI, like kind of trying to get like a study group together beforehand so you do recognize each other during the classes. Or even if you don't do SEI, going into the school year, don't be afraid to just like talk to someone and ask if they want to study together, because interactive studying and like talking to someone, for me, it was Sky, about topics really does help. And it definitely changes the way you think about things and talk to people about the concepts you're learning.
And then I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what Amanda said. I definitely highly recommend finding a study group, and SEI might help you find that. But like, at least for me, but before this, I was at Geisel studying with one of my friends for a fluid mechanics class. And like, without like that study group, you could like go down rabbit holes where you like start working on a problem and it just goes like totally like off place. But like when you have someone to like bounce ideas off of, they're like, oh no, we're doing it this way. So it's a lot easier to like stay on track, and like it's fun studying with people, honestly. And I think my biggest advice like between college and like high school is I usually just did everything by myself because I thought it would be a lot easier. But in college, I realized studying in groups is a lot more helpful.
Yeah, great responses. I will say from a personal bad habit of having studied alone most of the time as an undergraduate, big mistake. So if you can definitely create study groups, even just like 2 or 3 folks, this is a huge advantage, strategic advantage, definitely. So thank you all for those responses. So the next question, what kind of opportunities did you get exposed to through SCI that you wouldn't otherwise have if you didn't participate? Anyone want to jump into this question or take this question? Sky, awesome.
But I think it may be a little biased because I know, again, my cohort was the first cohort, so it wasn't as refined as it got in, like even the year I participated as a peer facilitator. But I wouldn't have been exposed to the most important organization in my life in undergrad, which was the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. My peer facilitators happened to have been in it, and my friends happened to have been interested in it. And so throughout the summer, I kind of learned as to what this professional organization was for engineers. And I think that if I had not met people who were as ambitious to go out to these types of student orgs really early on, or even meet some current leaders at the time during my summer, I would have never talked to that student org. And with that, I mean, I got 2 internships through that student org later on in my life. And so like, it was a very integral key moment. And you're not gonna have all these like life-changing moments that happen because it was kind of just like a nonchalant thing that they mentioned, like, oh, during fall you should come to the general body meeting. Like, you know, you really are involved in like the Latina community and education and like opportunities, like come do this. And so I was like, yeah, like this is a cool conversation. They were trying to like recruit. They were just like, oh, you'd probably be interested in this and want to, you know, and benefit from it. And if I'd never done that, I think everything would be very, very different, because that student org was pretty intertwined with my life throughout my entire undergraduate and still into graduate school as well.
Anyone else want to add in?
I have one, but it's kind of like very snowbally and long. But it could be kind of a stretch. But so through SEI, I was also admitted to the Idea Scholars program. And like through that and like participating in SEI, the next year they were looking for peer facilitators for SEI. So I applied and I ended up being a peer facilitator with Sky and a few of the people from my previous cohort and previous PFs. And that's how I met Ruben. And then in the fall that year, that after I was a PF, he encouraged me to apply to the McNair program, which is a really good program. Definitely recommend it. And it kind of encourages students from underrepresented backgrounds to get involved with research and kind of pursue, like, encourages them to pursue graduate school. So kind of like in a long-winded way, SEI is the reason why I'm in graduate school. I'm listening to people cheering. But yeah, it definitely had an amazing impact on just like how I approach like applying to things and just like putting myself out there and thinking about, oh, you never know what could happen. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Those are some of the I guess you can call them the positives, all of like the unicorns and rainbow elements of SCI, as well as an attached component, the Idea Scholars Program. But it's not necessarily all rainbows and unicorns and a pot of gold. There's some heartache and challenges and frustrations with being a student at UCSD and really being a student anywhere. So I'm very curious, what are some of the drawbacks or cons of attending SCI? And I think maybe Amanda might give a shot at this one.
Yeah, so I guess first off the bat, you all saw the cost of SEI. And if your family happens to be like struggling with money, that can be like a huge like detriment or like can kind of make quite quite the impact on like you and your family's wallets. So that could be a con of SEI. So I definitely recommend like applying to FAFSA and then applying for like any scholarships you can. So that's like a financial con. And then the other con of it is that since it's during the like basically all of August, and then a little bit of July and September, you could potentially miss out on like saying goodbye to like your high school friends, because like they'll be getting ready to like go away and start their school years, but you'll be sort of like already in school but not really in like kind of in school. So you might also miss out on like hanging out with them for the last like month that you're all together in the same area. Yeah, so that's definitely pros and cons to weigh, but I think it's a really good investment, and your friends will forgive you for missing a month and they can visit you.
Anybody else want to add into cons for SEI?
I got one. I think this was specifically for me, but because I've like never did programming ever at first, it was like it wasn't too difficult, but like trying to like fully understand like programming was like difficult for me with MAE8. But like by the end of the quarter, with like the groups you learn and like the study groups that I formed, like it was okay. But just starting that off, it felt a little bit overwhelming, I guess.
Answering one of the Q&As. It's in the so my cohort, we were not allowed to be outside of our rooms at 10 p.m. It was a very strict cohort that year. We could not have visitors. We had to fill out very strict forms. But I know it changed over time, and so that was technically a con because, like again I said, I had a very loving but very like helicopter mom who was like, can we go do this? Can we go do that? Can I go visit you? And I'm terrified of breaking rules. I was like, Mom, I can't see anyone. Like, you're not allowed to be here. Like, no. And then, people would be like, let's go do this at night. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I'm afraid of breaking rules. But it's changed over time. And I think Ruben can also agree with that. You're young adults who are going to be starting college. And so we can't control you like your parents. So my con was that they kind of control me like my parents. But it definitely has changed, so don't worry about that. That was my con. That has definitely changed, I think, through feedback from previous students.
Yeah, those are all really some great insights. Programming and the courses you take can be problematic, frustrating, maybe intimidating, depending on the student and their background. Some students have a lot of experience with programming and they come in and they just knock it out, and that can definitely startle students who don't have any programming experience. I know if I show up for a class and someone's had a lot of experience with it, it's going to probably make me second guess myself. Per Sky's comment, we have definitely taken feedback from previous years into account. So for the question that wasn't a Q&A, are you able to have visitors? Are you able to leave? You're definitely able to leave. We do have a process for that. It really depends on when you're trying to leave and for how long. If students want to leave for 1, 2, or 3 hours, that's something that's kind of relatively minor. That's checking in with the peer facilitator, letting folks know where you're going and for how long. But if it's like a whole day or you can be gone for the whole weekend, then it's a little bit more of a complicated process. We might review that information and then have a conversation. But yes, it's definitely possible to leave, and it's definitely possible to have visitors, though we try to encourage fewer visitors than having too many, mostly because it is a program and we have so many other participants as well. So, but that's an individual conversation. So we're getting close here at 7:59. I want to wrap things up with our last question, and we're also hitting the end of this Final Four game. So let's kind of get things wrapped up here. So our final question for our participants is, if you could talk to yourself in your senior year of high school, what would you say to yourself? So if you could talk to yourself in your senior year of high school, what would you say to yourself? Let's start with Sky. Let's go Sky, Fadi, and Amanda.
Thinking about it a little bit. I think if I currently right now would be able to talk to myself my senior year of high school, I would say, don't worry, you'll eventually live in Boston. I think that was something that Being a senior in high school, I had not necessarily like saying big dreams, couldn't make it, but it was definitely just something that's like, am I going to be stuck in California forever? Because I wanted to leave, but to enjoy the time, and I did enjoy it even more, to enjoy the time that I had in San Diego, to enjoy UCSD even more than what I did. And I enjoyed it pretty like a lot, because I think sometimes you're always like, oh, maybe I could have done something different. Even if you have the best time of your life, there's always some questions that you have when you're young. And I'm not old, I'm 24, but when you're in your 18, 19, 20, you're like, what could have been different? Don't worry about it. Live the life that you have in the moment, because UCSD was a great school, and like, you know, it was hard sometimes, but it was just like, life will move faster than you think, so enjoy it while you have it, and you'll be young in that moment. And I think that's like something that I would say now, that you're okay. You're gonna have the time and you'll get to do things. Just take it one step at a time.
Fadi?
And at least for me, it's like very similar. Like school like is very important for me, but I also like had to realize that there is more to life than school. Like I used to like always stress about, oh, I did this so bad on one test. And I realized like the grand scheme of things, that one test isn't going to affect me that much. So like honestly, just relax. I've had imposter syndrome plenty of time, but like you'll get through it. And like at the end of the day, like with enough perseverance, like and like hard work, you'll be able to get through it. And like I'm proven to myself right now. I'm in my third year, doing like great, almost about to graduate. So
Yeah, great, thank you. And then there's a separate question about getting emails of the panelists. If you want to throw your email in there, you're more than welcome to. But I'm going to throw in the email for the Idea Center while we give Amanda a minute or two to come back. But if you have questions about either this webinar, or if you have questions about SEI, we're about to conclude and you might still have a few more remaining questions. Please send us your questions at idea@ucsd.edu. And that way we can respond to your questions as soon as possible. And remember, we do have a session tomorrow for the Idea Scholars program. I know some of you had a couple of questions about the Idea Scholars, the application and whatnot, but yeah, please attend our session tomorrow for more specific information about the Idea Scholars program. So Sky, thank you so much. And then Fadi, if you want, you don't have to, but no worries. We can also filter questions. So if you have questions for specific panelists, you can also send it to the Idea Center email address, and then we can forward it over to folks so we can try to get you a response. I know some of the folks have very specific questions per major, per their experience. No worries. And then, yeah, I think someone else had a question about leaving during the 5 weeks. I hope that we answer that question, that yes, you're able to leave. There is a process, we discuss it, but yeah, definitely.
I'll say it's because there's 10 seconds left in the game and they're losing by a 1-point difference.
I will,
an excuse, but an explanation at the very least.
It's you know what? I don't blame Amanda whatsoever, because I really wish it was UCLA playing against Duke, but no problem. We're gonna give Amanda a chance to kind of come back. You can see how quickly Amanda's just, okay.
I had my earbuds in. There's 10 seconds left. I think there's something happening. But what I would tell myself in high school is not to worry too much about like what you're gonna do, when you're gonna do it, and just to kind of try your best and keep going. Because honestly, like I could never have imagined myself doing the things that I'm doing now, like with the goals that I had senior year of high school. And honestly, the things I'm doing now are better. So just relax and don't be afraid to like, but it's okay to be afraid. But don't be afraid to just try new things, and don't be afraid to like fail and mess up, because that's kind of what engineering is.
Thanks, Amanda. We'll wrap it up here. Go ahead and get back to the game. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much. I'll send you a separate email. Do your thing. We miss you very much. Okay.
I'll put my email in.
And so for everyone, that's going to conclude our webinar. I threw in the link for the Idea Scholars webpage. On that webpage, there should be the link for tomorrow's webinar. So if you have yet to register, please feel free to go ahead and register for the webinar tomorrow. I will stick around for a little bit. I'm going to stop recording, but I'm going to stick around. If you have some additional questions, you can throw them in the chat. Other than that, I want to thank you all so much for spending time with us during the Final Four as we wrap up. So, and a big shout out to our panelists. Thank you, Sky, for coming back. Thank you, Fadi, for spending Saturday Saturday evening, Saturday, what is night for you, Sky? You could be out partying if you wanted to. Sky says no. You could be collecting data, but instead you're with us here. So thank you very much.
But
Well,
no,
you
I
could be
really
sleeping.
need it.
You could be sleeping. Fair enough. You could be sleeping. So thank you all so much for joining us. I hope to see you all tomorrow.